If you grew up in Norway in the 1980s or 90s, your childhood looked completely different from what kids experience today. You did things that would now get your parents arrested in some countries. Things that would make modern helicopter parents faint. Things that somehow made you into the resilient adult you are today. This video is about 15 things Norwegian kids did that would be considered illegal, dangerous, or absolutely crazy by today's standards. And the wild part is, most Norwegians still think this was the best way to grow up. Let's start with number 15. Number 15. Sleeping outside in freezing temperatures as a baby, right now. If you walk through any Norwegian city in winter, you will see something that shocks tourists. Baby strollers lined up outside cafes, outside shops, outside homes, with babies inside them, sleeping, in temperatures as cold as minus 15 degrees Celsius, sometimes colder. This is completely normal in Norway. Parents leave their babies outside because they believe fresh, cold air helps them sleep better, breathe better, and build stronger immune systems. A 1997 study found that 95% of Finnish parents did this. Norwegian numbers are similar, but here is where it gets interesting. In 1997, a Danish mother was arrested in New York City for leaving her baby outside a restaurant while she had drinks inside. The charges were eventually dropped, but Americans were horrified. What Norwegians consider good parenting, Americans consider child endangerment. The practice continues today. But the freedom parents once had to leave babies unattended for hours has been somewhat reduced. Number 14. Walking to school alone at age 6. When Norwegian children start first grade, they typically walk to school alone. Age 6. No parents, no supervision. Just a small child with a backpack, navigating streets and crossings on their own. This has been standard practice for generations. Schools are located in neighborhoods specifically so children can walk. The expectation is that by age 6, you are responsible enough to get yourself to school and back. In the United States, parents have been investigated by Child Protective Services for letting 8 and 9-year-olds walk alone. In some American states, the recommended age for walking alone is 11 or 12. The Norwegian approach seems insane to much of the world. But the result is children who are independent, confident, and capable of problem solving from an early age. If this is bringing back memories of your own Norwegian childhood, hit that subscribe button. We explore Norwegian nostalgia every week. Number 13. Using knives in kindergarten. Yes, you read that correctly. Kindergarten. Age 5. Norwegian children learn to whittle with real knives. They carve sticks. They make spoons. They learn that knives are tools, not weapons. One British father living in Stavanger described his shock when his 5-year-old came home from Barnhage and announced he had been working on his knife skills. In the UK, this would be unthinkable. In Norway, it is just Tuesday. The philosophy is simple. Teach children to use dangerous tools safely, and they will respect those tools. Wrap them in cotton wool, and they will never learn to handle risk. Norwegian teachers report that children who learn knife skills early rarely injure themselves. They understand consequences. Number 12. Being home alone after school for hours. Nakkelbarn. Key children. That was a Norwegian term for kids who let themselves into empty houses after school and stayed alone until parents returned from work. This was not considered neglect. This was considered normal, expected even. Research shows that by 4th grade, most Norwegian children prefer coming home to an empty house. They see it as their free time. No supervision, no schedule, just them and their independence. In some countries, leaving a child under 12 home alone is illegal. In Norway, 8-year-olds regularly spend afternoons completely unsupervised, making their own snacks, doing homework, entertaining themselves. The result, according to sociologist Brita Bungum, is children who develop practical skills and self-reliance years ahead of their international peers. Number 11. Traveling across the country alone as a child. Norwegian children as young as 7 have been known to make solo journeys from one end of Norway to the other. Trains, buses, ferries, hours of travel. Alone. Why? Often to visit divorced parents who live far apart. The Norwegian attitude is that if a child can follow instructions and knows their destination, they can travel. Airlines in Scandinavia offer unaccompanied minor services for children as young as 5. But many Norwegian children travel domestically without any special supervision at all. They simply board the train and go. To much of the world, this seems reckless. To Norwegians, this is teaching children that the world is manageable, that they are capable, that independence is a skill worth learning early. Number 10, playing outside unsupervised until dark. Come home when the streetlights turn on. That was the only rule for Norwegian children in the 80s and 90s. Beyond that, parents had no idea where their kids were, what they were doing, who they were with. Children roamed neighborhood forests and construction sites. They built forts. They crossed streams. They climbed trees that were almost certainly too tall. And nobody worried. There were no mobile phones to check in, no GPS trackers, no constant surveillance. You simply disappeared into the world for hours and returned home for dinner. Today, even in Norway, this level of freedom is declining. Parents are more cautious. Media reports of dangers make everyone nervous. But ask any Norwegian who grew up in the 80s, and they will tell you those unsupervised hours were the best part of childhood. Drop a comment below. What did you do as a kid that would never be allowed today? We want to hear your stories. Number 9, climbing on dangerous playground equipment. Norwegian playgrounds used to be genuinely terrifying. Metal structures that got burning hot in summer and freezing cold in winter. Heights with no safety rails. Concrete beneath the swings instead of soft rubber. If you fell, you got hurt. That was simply understood. The philosophy was that children needed to experience risk, to fall sometimes, to learn their limits. Broken arms happened. Scraped knees were constant. And parents shrugged. Modern playgrounds are much safer. But some Norwegian educators worry that children are losing the ability to assess and manage risk. When everything is padded and safe, you never learn what danger feels like. Number 8, skiing alone in the mountains as a young child. Norway is a nation of skiers. And Norwegian children learn early that the mountains are both beautiful and dangerous. By age 8 or 9, many children were sent off on ski trips without adult supervision. Cross-country routes through forests, downhill runs at resorts. Parents would drop them off and pick them up hours later, trusting that their children knew what to do if weather changed, if equipment broke, if someone got lost. The skills were taught from toddlerhood. By the time unsupervised skiing happened, children were expected to be competent, to know how to read conditions, to understand when to turn back. Some of those children got lost. Some had accidents. But the culture valued the independence more than it feared the risk. Number 7, drinking tran every single day. Every Norwegian child who grew up before the 2000s remembers the horror of tran. Cod liver oil. Thick, fishy, absolutely disgusting. And mandatory. Every morning, a spoonful of this liquid nightmare. Your parents insisted. Your grandparents insisted. Schools sometimes administered it during winter months. The vitamin D and omega fatty acids were considered essential for surviving the dark Norwegian winters. Children would gag, cry, beg to skip it, but tran was non-negotiable. Today, most Norwegian children take vitamin D supplements in pill form. The torture of liquid cod liver oil has mostly ended, but every Norwegian over a certain age still shudders at the memory. Number 6, no grades until much older. The Norwegian school system did not give formal grades to children until later ages. The philosophy was that young children should learn for the joy of learning, not for external validation. Competition was discouraged. Comparison between students was avoided. The focus was on individual growth and collaborative work. In many other countries, children receive grades from the earliest years of school. The pressure to perform starts young. Norwegian children instead grew up in a system where you were simply expected to try your best, without constant measurement against your peers. Critics say this left Norwegian children unprepared for competition. Supporters say it protected their love of learning. Share this video with someone who grew up in Norway. Let's compare childhood memories. Number 5, being left at cabins in the mountains for days. The Norwegian hit culture meant that children often spent days at remote cabins with minimal adult supervision, sometimes just with slightly older siblings, sometimes with groups of children and a single adult who was mostly absent, letting the kids manage themselves. You would ski, hike, play in streams, build fires. You would cook your own food and solve your own problems. The nearest help might be hours away. In American terms, this would be considered abandonment. In Norwegian terms, this was building character, teaching self-reliance, showing children that they were capable of surviving and thriving without constant adult intervention. Number 4, swimming in freezing lakes and fjords. Norwegian children did not wait for warm weather to swim. If there was water, you went in, even if that water was so cold it made your heart stop for a moment. Parents encouraged this. Schools took children to lakes in autumn and spring. The belief was that cold water made you stronger, healthier, more resilient. Today, this practice continues in some schools with ice swimming becoming trendy again. But in the 80s and 90s, nobody called it a wellness trend. It was just what children did. You jumped in, you screamed, you climbed out, you did it again. Number 3, building and using real fires unsupervised. Norwegian children learned to build fires young, in the forest, at the hit, even in suburban backyards. Matches and lighters were not kept locked away from children. They were tools to be learned and respected. By age 10, many children could independently build and maintain a campfire, cook food over it, and extinguish it properly. The risk of burns was real. Some children got hurt, but the skill of firemaking was considered essential knowledge for any Norwegian. How can you call yourself Norwegian if you could not build a fire in the rain? Number 2, receiving cod liver oil at school. Not just at home, but at school too. Many Norwegian schools provided tran to students during winter months. This was state-sponsored fish oil administration. Teachers would supervise the daily dose, ensuring no child escaped. Imagine explaining this to a child in another country. Your teacher gives you a spoonful of fish oil every day. It was for your own good, of course, but it felt like punishment. The practice has largely faded, replaced by healthier school lunch programs and vitamin supplements. But for decades, Norwegian schools believed their job included making sure every child had enough omega fatty acids, whether they liked it or not. And number 1, the thing that most shocks people from other countries about traditional Norwegian childhood, corporal punishment was only fully banned relatively recently. Sweden was the first country in the world to ban all corporal punishment of children in 1979. Norway followed in 1987, but the attitudes took longer to change than the laws. Before the ban, many Norwegian children experienced physical discipline at home. After the ban, the practice declined rapidly. Today, Norway is considered one of the best countries in the world for children's rights. The culture has shifted completely. Norwegian children grow up with the expectation that they will never be hit by adults. They have legal protections that children in many other countries still lack. But if you're old enough to remember the time before the ban, you remember a very different Norway. These 15 things represent more than just childhood activities. They represent a philosophy, an approach to raising children that valued independence over protection, risk over safety, capability over comfort. The world has changed. Norway has changed. Some of these practices continue. Others have faded. But the adults who grew up this way, who slept outside in freezing temperatures, who walked to school alone at age 6, who wielded knives in kindergarten and skied mountains unsupervised, they turned out remarkably well. Maybe there was wisdom in that freedom. Maybe children are more capable than modern society gives them credit for. Or maybe we just got lucky and times have genuinely changed for the better. That is a debate Norwegians will continue to have for generations. Thank you for watching. If you grew up with any of these experiences, hit the like button. Subscribe to Norway Nostalgia for more videos about the Norway that was. And leave a comment telling us which of these things you experienced as a child. What would you add to the list? What did we miss? Vi ses nästa gång.